Hey, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. I am your host, Peg. Thank you for joining me today for this video talking about Black History Month and how we can celebrate and learn through books. And this is just my little corner of BookTube where I talk about the books I'm reading, have read, or hope to read. In this case, all kind of revolving around Black History Month. So let me just fix my camera because this is bothering me. Happy Friday afternoon, everybody. This is me. That's my name. Yes, welcome back. I feel so out of practice. You know, if I haven't done a video in a week, I get all rusty. But it's been a hairy week, just very hairy at work and just lots of different things going and fires popping up. Not literal fires, but figurative fires, and just putting out things and trying to get work done. But I hope you've been having a wonderful reading week and whatnot. All right, so this will be a shorter video. We're not going to do 50 minutes, and you're probably like, thank goodness. So I just wanted to show you some of the books that a couple of them I have read, or I am reading, and one I have read and wrote a very long review on. So I'm very pleased about that. We're going to start with that book. My review of this book recently was published, I'd say about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks now, at BookBrowse Review. And I got the finished copy. Very excited for that. I'll tell you a little bit about the book. I'll read the description and some of my personal thoughts, but I do encourage you to check out my long-form written review over at BookBrowse Review, and I will try to link to that in the description box below. Okay, so which one am I talking about? This is brand new from Farrar, Straus and Giroux. It came out at the end of January, pretty much, January 20th. And this is Scale Boy by Patrice Nganang. I think it's Nganang. Subtitle is An African Childhood. Now, Patrice Nganang, and I need some help pronouncing that last name as far as is the end silent. I'm not sure. He is the author of this trilogy of books about Cameroon, and I recently just picked up the first volume because I had the other two books. But I plan on reading his trilogy, and I should have had those books ready to go. You know what? Hang on. I'm going to grab them so I can show you. Hang on. Okay, we are back. So I picked up those three books, but let me go ahead and read to you what Scale Boy is about. It'll give you a sense of who Patrice Nganang is. Nice, big, beefy. It's a memoir of sorts. So let me go ahead and just read to you from the pub sheet. Get up there. So I feel like I'm so off center with this camera. All right, there we go. Okay. In his trilogy of historical novels, which I'm going to show you in a second, in his trilogy of historical novels, Patrice Nganang offered a sweeping history of modern Cameroon from the 1930s through the Second World War to the Cameroonian War of Independence and subsequent civil war. In Scale Boy, he brings his attention to bear on a post-independence Cameroon, taking for his subject matter the events of his own life, his sense of place, and his realization of his own personal history and the history of Cameroon, how the facts of the latter have ineradicably shaped the facts of the former, down to questions as essential as accent and taste. The memoir begins with a moment of involuntary recall. Patrice, as an adult back in Cameroon, is confronted by a boy trying to sell him his service, the use of an American scale. The enduring practice of this distinct profession, that of the scale boy, who brings his weighing machine from house to house, exchanging its use for a small sum, draws Patrice back to the incidents of his own childhood, his turn as a scale boy, with his scale, a German model. Through short, punchy chapters interspersed with photographs, Patrice recalls his stint working at a garage, his childhood neighborhood and neighbors in the city of Yaoundé, and the way that his childhood environment emblematizes the ethnic makeup and history of Cameroon. The narrative follows Patrice through his schoolboy days, his study of Cameroonian history and love of literature, until it finally builds up to and ends with the 1984 attempted coup against the then new and still ruling president of Cameroon, Paul Biya, which introduces a violence and temporary instability that served to usher in the end of his childhood and to set the stage for the political impasses of contemporary Cameroon. Okay, so that's what the pub sheet says. Let's see here. I went ahead too, and I printed up because I kind of want to. I printed up a New Yorker article that was written about one of the books in the trilogy, because when I plan on reading the trilogy, let me just say, and I'll link to this review in the description box, but this is one of those books where I think it's going to take a second reading for me to really to get everything out of it that I was hoping for, and I still am. It's just that it's a little bit hard linguistically at times, but once you get used to Patrice's his very verbal way of writing, and what I mean by that is like he's writing it as almost as if there's a conversation happening with him and not only his other characters, the people in his story, his family members, his sisters. It's very verbal. They're always exchanging, and they're always doing it in different languages. I mean, Cameroon has a very various colonial experience. They had the Germans that were there first, right? British for a little time, and then French. So they had all these influences and all these three different imperial powers. So language, and not to mention just their tribal languages. These are just peppered throughout the account. So, and in Patrice's own way, he translates some of those sentences or phrases, but sometimes you just have to remember certain words, remember what those translations were earlier in the memoir. But once you just you can get past a little bit of the barrier of the linguistic differences in the way that he writes, it's quite enjoyable, and it kind of just sets you into another culture and time that you just otherwise wouldn't get from reading a more traditionally written, or like maybe say like a native English speaker. You get more out of this than say something that's written in the more accepted vernacular. But anyway, I learned so much about him and just Cameroon. I was fascinated by its history and how it kind of also influenced his journey to becoming a writer. It's interesting with me. It's like I love reading about writers and their lives and their works and reading their works. Most people would back into a memoir or a biography after having already read a writer's works. I'm the opposite. I like to read about a writer, their life, or a memoir of theirs, and then go and discover their writing, because I find that I understand it better if I understand the person a bit more. So anyway, yes, check out my review at BookBrowse Review. I really enjoyed this. Like I said, you have to kind of get past some of the things that as a native English speaker, you might find like, what is going on here? But allow yourself to just kind of ease into the flow and allow yourself to be swept along into this very unique cultural environment of just Cameroon and Patrice's boyhood of making money, weighing people with a scale, his thoughts on colonialism. And what an interesting fact too is his novels are written in French, so they're translated from the French. Isn't that interesting? But he's very fluent in using German and as well. So it's a very rich memoir that I think is very rewarding if you give yourself just the time and focus that you need. So anyway, Scale Boy, I highly recommend that. Now with Patrice Nganang's writing, this is the trilogy. I had started off with books 2 and 3, and I finally just got the first one. I had to order it used like new, but we've got Mount Pleasant is the first. And what's interesting with each one of these, they are different. They don't have recurring characters as far as I'm aware. Because when I was doing research for the review and also the Beyond the Book article I wrote about these novels, each one has its own different characters. So they're not kind of tied together. I guess you could actually just kind of jump in wherever you wanted, but I'm going to start from the first. We've got Mount Pleasant, translated by Amy Baram Reed. And this one is, let me tell you a little bit about what this one's about. In 1931, Sarah is taken from her family and brought to Mount Pleasant as a gift for Sultan Njoya, a ruler cast into exile by French colonialists. Merely 9 years old, she is on the verge of becoming the Sultan's 681st wife. But when she is dragged to Bertha, the long-suffering slave charged with training Njoya's brides, Sarah's life takes a curious turn. Bertha sees within this little girl her son Nebu, who died tragically years before, and she saves Sarah from her fate by disguising her as her son. In Sarah's new life as a boy, she bears witness to the world of Sultan Njoya, a magical yet vulnerable community of artists and intellectuals, and learns of the Sultan's final days in the Palace of All Dreams and the sad fate of Nebu, the greatest artist their culture had ever seen. 7 decades later, a student returns home to Cameroon to learn about the place it once was, and she finds Sarah, silent for years, ready to tell her story. But her serpentine tale, entangled by flawed memory and bursts of the imagination, reinvents history anew. And this is a lyrical resurrection of early 20th century Cameroon and is an elegy to the people swept up in the forces of colonization. All right, so that's the first one, Mount Pleasant. The second one is When the Plums Are Ripe. I think these are all Picador. Yeah, these are Picador editions. And then this one takes you, so I guess they kind of move chronologically, but with different characters. This one is about Cameroon's forced entry into World War II. And it's right after the fall of France, and Cameroon found itself caught between Vichy and the Free French. So this one looks really great. Like it's got the whole, Second World War background. A couple of different people in here navigating that. So that's kind of the focus of that one. And then A Trail of Crab Tracks is the final one. And I got this one in the hardcover, like bargain book. And this one kind of takes you up to present day. It's about a man who flies to visit his son in the United States after he agreed to leave a city in Western Cameroon. And when he visits his son in the U.S., he has an illness which extends his stay, and then he just starts to share with his son the story of what it was like living through the Civil War in Cameroon. So it's kind of like told through memory and through just his discussions with his son. So I am really looking forward to taking on this trilogy, especially after learning about Patrice through his memoir, Scale Boy. So I wanted to share these 4 books, put them on your radar if you're interested. Okay, and then the next book, it's funny. Well, speaking of Black writers, and this is an African-American writer, and still doing my buddy read with Patrice Jones. We're getting there. We're 200 pages in. And of course, this is Ralph Ellison. I'm very much enjoying it. It's just kind of slow going. I need to get a Mylar cover. I ordered this used because I really wanted the hardcover, and it's hard to find the first edition hardcover. And I bought it thinking it was used like new, but it's really ripped up. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for a nicer hardcover of this. But I love this photo of him. So, and that's not on the paperback version, so just had to have it. Anyway, this is the biography of Ralph Ellison by Arnold Rampersad. All right, this says here, and this came out, and this is Alfred A. Knopf Publishers. This is another great photo of him. I love that. It's a great photo. This one came out 2007. Wow. Almost 10 years ago. No, wait, 20. What the hell am I thinking, guys? I can do math. Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. Wow. I remember when this book came out. Wow. 20 years ago. Almost. The definitive biography of one of the most important American writers and cultural intellectuals of the 20th century. Ralph Ellison, author of the masterpiece Invisible Man. In 1953, Ellison's explosive story of an innocent young black man's often surreal search for truth and his identity won him the National Book Award for fiction and catapulted him to national prominence. Ellison went on to earn many other honors, including 2 presidential medals and election to the American Academy of Arts and Letters. But his failure to publish a second novel, despite years of striving, haunted him for the rest of his life. Now, as the first scholar given complete access to Ellison's papers, Arnold Rampersad has written not only a reliable account of the main events of Ellison's life, but also a complex, authoritative portrait of an unusual artist and human being. Born poor and soon fatherless in 1913, Ralph struggled both to belong to and to escape from the world of his childhood. We learn here about his sometimes happy, sometimes harrowing years growing up in Oklahoma City and attending Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. Arriving in New York in 1936, he became a political radical before finally embracing the cosmopolitan intellectualism that would characterize his dazzling cultural essays, his eloquent interviews, and his historic novel. The second half of his long life brought both widespread critical acclaim and bitter disputes with many opponents, including Black cultural nationalists outraged by what they saw as his elitism and misguided pride in his American citizenship. This biography describes a man of magnetic personality who counted Saul Bellow, Langston Hughes, Robert Penn Warren, Richard Wright, Richard Wilbur, Albert Murray, and John Cheever among his closest friends. A man both admired and reviled, whose life and art were shaped mainly by his unyielding desire to produce magnificent art and by his resilient faith in the moral and cultural strength of America. So yeah, we are, as you can see, we are making our way through it. We've just had things that have slowed us down a little bit, but we're liking it. I've got some tags going on in here. Yeah. So I love it. So reading about Ralph Ellison currently. And a book I want to start soon, which I received recently from the publisher. I was really, really excited. Another great book from Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. And I've shown it to you on this channel before when it came across. Everyone's raving about this new biography. Also an African-American writer in our history who features a lot in the Ralph Ellison biography, of course. And that is Baldwin. A Love Story by Nicholas Boggs. And it's a big, chunky book. Look at this. Beautiful. Can't wait to read. So once I finish Ralph Ellison, I'm going to hop into Baldwin. This came out at the, I'd say in the last quarter of last year, 2025. Let me hold that up for you. Okay, arriving at the conclusion of James Baldwin's centenary year, Nicholas Boggs' highly anticipated book, The first major biography of Baldwin to be published in 30 years is also the first to incorporate and transform newly released archival material, including unpublished letters and love poems, original interviews, and never-before-seen photographs, into a moving and revelatory telling of his life. And the first to explore Baldwin's queerness in depth, filling important lacunae, or lacuna. I think it's lacunae. In Baldwin's story, both a biography and a work of narrative nonfiction. This book shows how profoundly Baldwin's personal relationships shaped his life and work, as did the refuge he found in Paris, Switzerland, Corsica, Istanbul, and the south of France. Boggs's ingenious framing explores Baldwin's relationships with 4 of the men he loved most: his mentor, the Black American painter Buford Delaney; his muse, the Swiss painter Lucien Happersberger; the famed Turkish actor Engin Cesar; and the iconoclastic French artist Joran Kazak. In addition, we meet several women who were essential to his art and survival, from Lorraine Hansberry and Toni Morrison to Orilla Miller, his teacher in Harlem, and the economist Mary Painter, to whom he dedicated his novel Another Country. In the process, we follow Baldwin's travels across the United States as he becomes a catalyzing figure in the fight for racial justice during the Civil Rights Movement and beyond. So fantastic. Like I said, I've seen this, I've shown you this book before on this channel, but it is on my list of like the next biography I want to read, as far as like writers go, is James Baldwin. But I gotta get through Ralph Ellison first, and then we're gonna move on to James Baldwin. So I guess you could say my other project then is to try to find like biographies on Richard Wright, Langston Hughes. Why not? I should have a biography on each of them. Just gonna build up my African American biography collection. But I'm excited for these. I'm excited to finish Ellison, and I'm excited to start Baldwin. All right, moving along. Now, these are the books I still have yet to check out, but I really wanted to share them with you guys, put them on your radar in case you wanted to go check them out and read them this month or later in the year. And how perfect is this book? We're talking about Black History Month, but we actually have a new book out that talks about Black History Month. Let me see. I've got a pub sheet here. Yes. And this book just came out February 3rd. So from Harper. And this is I'll Make Me a World, The 100-Year Journey of Black History Month by Jarvis R. Givens. So not a huge book. Get through it pretty quickly, I think. All right, well, I'll read from the pub sheet here so you can see. I'll Make Me a World is a powerful and essential meditation on the origins, evolution, and future of Black History Month, commemorating its milestone 100th anniversary. Wow, you guys, I didn't even realize this. Oh, this is a big celebration. I didn't realize 2026 was the 100-year anniversary of Black History Month. Oh, I got to get this one read. I got to just finish this one in like 2 days or something. In I'll Make Me a World, acclaimed Harvard scholar Jarvis R. Givens, a leading historian of Black education and the author of American Grammar, oh, I have that book too, takes readers on a personal and political journey through the 100-year history of Black History Month, from its radical beginnings in 1926 as Negro History Week to its role today as a celebration and flashpoint in America's cultural battles. Drawing on archival research, personal stories, and the wisdom of Black teachers, Givens recovers the legacy of Carter G. Woodson and many others who envisioned Black history as a liberatory force, knowledge that shapes who we are, how we resist, and what we dream. With striking clarity, Givens challenges today's myopic commemorations of iconic figures and urges us to expand our understanding of Black history to include the everyday lives of ordinary people, the workadays, whose stories have long gone untold, but who are critical to deeper understandings of our shared past and present. In 1914, Sandy Rufus Youngblood penned a 15-page autobiography detailing his family's enslavement to his journey as a public school teacher, principal, and college professor. In 1949, Miss Mary Ross Jones, a teacher in segregated Mississippi, diligently chronicled the challenges of teaching nearly 500 students in a small open church, rearranged weekly for funerals and worship services. Gibbons's own preschool teacher, Miss Myron Ruth Butterfield, taught her students to memorize and perform songs. Poetry and speeches, a practice of communal literacy and knowledge sharing rooted in the rich history of American. Sorry, I'm trying to read too fast here. A practice of communal literacy and knowledge sharing rooted in the rich history of African American oral tradition. This tradition echoed the efforts of early Black memory workers like Mary Church Terrell, who established Douglas Day in 1897, and Carter G. Woodson, who founded Negro History Week, both of whom used education and African American organizing traditions to preserve Black history. Gibbons demonstrates that, though they may not have achieved greatness by traditional standards of historical commemoration, the stories of ordinary people and the intimate realities of their lives are deeply worthy of study and memorialization for future generations. These Black histories of the everyday help us achieve new understanding about the texture of Black people's realities. They also reflect the origin story of Black History Month and the more expansive Black intellectual traditions that brought it to life. I love this, and this is a really well-written pub sheet as well. It says, "I'll Make Me a World" is a call to remember, reimagine, and reclaim a tradition built by communities and the individuals who made them. At a time when Black history is under attack, and it is under attack, everybody. I mean, moving slavery, displays at museums, they're trying to erase history. Okay, at a time when Black history is under attack, this book offers an inspiring vision for how it can still be a source of power, truth, and possibility. I really can't wait to dig into this. And I know who I'm sharing this with when I'm done reading it. You know who you are. You know who you are. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize it was the 100-year anniversary. That's special. That is really special. Let's see if we got any photos in here. Should have some few photos in there. Yeah, let me see. I think I had a couple. But yeah, this is going to be great. Oh, and here's a picture of our author. I've not read anything by Jarvis R. Gibbons. There we go. Very nice. Really happy to get this copy. Thank you to Harper Books. I'm definitely going to be enjoying that this month and into March. It's, between like February and March, it's very busy in the commemoration book world with what we got Black History Month, and then you have Women's History Month in March. So it's a lot going on. But this is definitely one that is just so timely, and it talks about just the history of Black History Month and the workadays. I like that word for just. I'm a workaday. We're all we're the ordinary people that just get up every morning, put our pants on, one leg at a time, head off to work, and no one knows our stories. So it's nice when historians can get out there and dig into the records and, move beyond just the Frederick Douglasses, the Rosa Parkses, the Malcolm X's, and talk about the people that I just cited to you in that pub sheet. These are names I had never heard of before, but they sound wonderful. People who made a difference in their communities, because, that's really how you make change in this world, I think. It's, people want to go out and change the world. It's no, just make an impact in your little patch of grass. If you know what I'm saying. It's like we can only touch so many people in our physical existence, in our world. We're only going to come into contact with so many people, but you can make that world, your world, and the people that you come into contact with better, and you can help another person. And that's how it's like a chain reaction. That's a domino effect, right? So that's how I feel about it. Whoops, am I still recording? I just hit a button on my keyboard. Okay. You know what? We might go to 50 minutes if I keep nattering on. This book, also excited about. I don't know if you've noticed in the past, I've worn a cap, and I also have a t-shirt of the Tuskegee Airmen. But this is a new book that's coming out this month. Well, it says it went on sale on January 27th, but it's out right now from, what is the publisher here? Here we go. Kensington Books. It's a nice little imprint. I've read some really impressive books from Kensington, both nonfiction and fiction. What do we have here? This is Forgotten Souls. Sorry for the glare. The Search for the Lost Tuskegee Airmen by Cheryl W. Thompson. Oh, yes, I know. I was going to say, she said her name's very familiar. She's a journalist. She's a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter. Oh, okay. Yes. Cheryl W. Thompson. And there's a nice picture of our author right here. Very nice. So yeah, all about Tuskegee Airmen. Let's bring this one on. I can't wait to start this one. The Tuskegee Airmen are legendary. These African-American military aviators in the U.S. Armed Forces earned high marks for their patriotism, their combat records, and their elite standards. Their contributions are now a vital part of African-American history and an important factor in America's success during World War II. Yet many Black pilots who served in the 332nd Fighter Group overseas never returned from their missions, nor were they honored by the U.S. government for their sacrifices. Shame. Forgotten Souls examines the lives of the 27 pilots who went missing while battling the enemy abroad and honors their lives, their sacrifices, and their legacy. That's important. That's an important work right here. This book serves as long overdue closure for the pilots who gave their lives. Author Cheryl Thompson, an award-winning investigative reporter for NPR, was inspired to profile these airmen in memory of her late father, who also served in the elite Tuskegee group and made similar sacrifices to his country and his family. Let me read just a little bit more. These remarkable men hailed from the cornfields of Iowa and Nebraska, the tobacco plantations of North Carolina, and the Texas coast. They disappeared during critical missions in Europe while valiantly fighting for a country that was hesitant to even acknowledge their existence. The U.S. military didn't want these specialized and highly trained pilots, graduates of prestigious and respected institutions like West Point and the University of Michigan. University of Michigan, woo! Go blue. Sorry, just had to say that. After years of pressure from civil rights organizations like the NAACP and the National Urban League, as well as support from President Roosevelt and particularly from First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, these men became part of the Tuskegee Institute's flying school. With the help of family members to reconstruct the lives and legacies of these remarkable men who gave their lives, Thompson has crafted a remarkable narrative testament to these true American heroes. Built upon the stories of children, grandchildren, and family who opened their doors and hearts to the author to tell their precious family stories, their most cherished memories, and especially of their heartbreak, she paints a poignant picture of a generation of survivors who themselves are vanishing, who vividly remember those who never came back. Oh, that's wild. That's wild. I didn't even realize 27 never came back. And this is their memorial, essentially, is this book. So I will do right by that memory by reading this book. Thank you to Kensington for my review galley. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's important. It's important to remember everyone's sacrifices in World War II, regardless of race, religion, nationality, not nationality, you know what I mean? Regardless of, race, religion, creed, all of that stuff, everyone's sacrifices during that war needs to be honored. So I'm glad that this book exists. And as yet another one I cannot wait to get going on. Okay, so this book is really kind of different. And I was really excited to share this with you guys. This one has a little bit of like a scientific feel. It has a little bit of it's got botany, it's got science, and I need to take a drink. Can I just say, personal moment, they call these wine tumblers, and I don't know why. I mean, I guess people like to drink wine out of these things. I just went ahead and bought one of these because it's like double walled and aluminum. And boy, I love drinking out of this now. With a little bit of ice, everything is delicious. As you can see, I am drinking a Celsius mixed berry, baby. It's an energy drink, but it's one of the more healthier ones. More healthy. I know what I'm saying. Oh, that hits the spot. This book came out very recently from Henry Holt Publishing. I'm not sure what to expect from this, if it's going to be in my wheelhouse or not. But I'm gonna venture out of my comfort zone. I'm gonna venture outside of the history zone for a minute. This is called "When Trees Testify: Science, Wisdom, History, and America's Black Botanical Legacy" by Beronda L. Montgomery. I think this came out late last year. I don't have the pub sheet anymore, but I got a finished copy. I'm very pleased. So let me just read to you from the jacket. This stunning cultural and personal reclamation of Black history and Black botanical mastery offers up lessons from the natural world shared through the stories of long-lived trees, or long-lived trees. All right. The histories of trees in America are also the histories of Black Americans. That when I read that first sentence, I was like, you've got me. Okay, read on. Pecan trees. Oh, here's one. Do you say we should have a little poll? Who pronounces it pecan? And who pronounces it pecan or pecan? Pecan. Anyway, pecan trees were domesticated by an enslaved African named Antoine. Sycamore trees were both havens and signposts for people trying to escape enslavement. Poplar trees are historically associated with lynching, and willow bark has offered the gift of medicine. These trees and others testify not only to the complexity of the Black American narrative, but also to a heritage of Black botanical expertise that, like Native American traditions, predates the United States entirely. In When Trees Testify, award-winning plant biologist Beronda L. Montgomery explores the ways 7 trees, as well as the cotton shrub, are intertwined with Black history and culture. She reveals how knowledge surrounding these trees has shaped America since the very beginning. As Montgomery shows, trees are material witnesses to the lives of enslaved Africans and their descendants. Combining the wisdom of science and history with stories from her own path to botany, Montgomery talks to majestic trees, and in this unique and compelling narrative, they answer. Isn't that great? Like, this is so different from what I normally read, but the tree as history, the tree as a character in history, the tree as, in some cases, a tool that helps guide, especially enslaved African Americans. The tree used as a weapon, in the case of the lynching, right? The tree is medicine as healing, in the case of like willow bark. I'm just fascinated by this approach. This just sounds like such an original premise. So this is a book I want to read and I want to comment on. So wish me luck, and hopefully I can put together some intriguing thoughts. There's some willow trees there. I'm a better writer than I am doing a verbal book review, but this is such a different type of approach to history. And I'm going to, obviously threaded through with botany. And here's our author. I am really just intrigued by this. So yes, When Trees Testify. The category says nature on the back. But wow, there's so much wrapped up in this. There's a lot more than just, it's not just a botanical type of book. I'm intrigued as I'll get out. But anyway, this is available now. If you want to check it out, library, ask your library to order it, pick it up, pick up a copy wherever you buy books, whatnot. But anyway, I'm excited. There's so many cool books coming out. 40 minutes, you guys. And I wanted to throw in a couple of historical fiction novels as well. So I got to crank it along. This was another book. Is this from Kensington Books too? Yes, it is. I don't know if this is up my alley or not, but I did receive a galley of this along with Forgotten Souls from Kensington. This is more of like a musical, like hip hop history, or this is actually a memoir. I don't know. I think I might like this. I love New Jack City. I love the 1990s music. 90s had the best music. I love 90s R&B, 90s hip hop, 90s New Jack Swing. Did I say New Jack City? It's New Jack Swing. Let me tell you something. When Jodeci comes on the radio, not that it comes on the radio, but when I cue up Jodeci, everything ends. And I am like singing. I am singing with Jodeci. I love Jodeci. Oh my gosh. Woo! I should have a karaoke video, just blow you all away with my my singing ability. All right. This book is the first ever insider account of the Shakur family, the iconic hip hop group Thug Life, and the life and death of Tupac Shakur, written by Mopreme Shakur, the legendary rapper's big brother and eldest son of Black liberation activist Mutulu Shakur. You know what? Oh no, this is a book I will be reading. I've always been fascinated by, well, I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a tangent now, but I don't know how many of you have Netflix, and if you saw that recent documentary they did on 50 Cent produced it actually, and it's about Sean Combs, Diddy, I think it's called Sean Combs, not revealed, but it was something that kind of, they were filming this documentary right before he got arrested. But it's multi-episodes, and one of the episodes that they went into was the whole, how much was Sean Combs involved with the not only the Shakur to the Tupac's death and his shooting, but also why am I drawing a blank? Big Papa, you know what I mean? Biggie Smalls. Thank you. What am I thinking? I can't even think anymore. Okay, so we got this is called This Thug's Life, an unapologetically Black story. And this is an advanced review copy. So this is not the finished one, as you can see. It's just kind of bound together. But I'm intrigued by this, because in that documentary, they were going on. I learned things that I didn't know about that period, and you might find this hard to believe, but I've always really enjoyed, maybe not. I'm from Detroit. I have Motown in my blood. It's in my DNA, baby. I can dance better than I'm doing in my chair right now, but I love it. And yeah, man, I did like some rap back in the day. Like I said, 90s, best stuff ever. But anyway, in the documentary, they talked about that whole how it all went down, and so I was getting into it again, like, hey, maybe they're onto something here. It's like, who did it, right? And why? Anyway, so this is going to actually fill in, I think, some of the, I'm going to be getting more details on that. So This Thug's Life, when did this come out? This came out, you guys, I'm giving you a heads up. This releases on February 24th. So we've got another 11 days. Okay. I'd be curious to see, like how much the media, the author tour, where this book is going to be reviewed and who might be doing the interviewing. It'd be really cool to find out. Let me read a little bit here. Named one of the 100 greatest artists of all time by Rolling Stone and widely considered the greatest star of hip-hop, Tupac Shakur's legacy and influence continue to grow even 30 years. 30 years, it's been 30 years after his untimely murder in September 1996. I was in the Air Force when this happened. Yep. Fans of hip-hop history, gritty memoirs from the street, and stories of Black liberation can experience a groundbreaking insider account of the influential Shakur family with Inside a Thug's Heart. Okay, you know what I think? This is funny. The pub sheet says one title, and the cover of the galley says another. I don't know which title it's gonna be, but we'll figure it out. I think it's going to end up being This Thug's Life. Anyway, written by Memoir Shakur, the only surviving member of the iconic hip-hop groups Thug Life and Outlaw Immortals, both of which he founded with his younger brother Tupac. This book reveals never-before-told details about his childhood and activist parents, the origins of his love for rap off the streets, his rise to hip-hop excellence and fame with his brother, and the machine that was the Tupac Shakur business. He provides an insightful inside look into Tupac as a rapper, actor, wordsmith, activist, brother, and champion for underdogs everywhere, a uniquely and unapologetically Black story. This book goes beyond hip-hop, exploring racial justice and Afrocentrism that was so central to the Shakur family. Memoir and Tupac were the children of Black revolutionaries who encouraged them to embrace their Blackness and instilled in them a strong sense of justice. Their father, Mutulu Shakur, was a key activist in the Black liberation movement with connections to the Black Panthers and Young Lords. Issues such as police brutality and unjust incarceration were the driving forces behind Tupac and Memoir's record-breaking albums. And these issues are just as pressing now as they were in the 90s. Memoir and Tupac centered their experiences as Black men and told their truth through their art, despite friction with racists, cops, and even the government, resonating with millions of fans. Wow. Yeah, coming out in hardcover from Kensington Books on February 24th. I'm pretty sure this will be the title, This Thug's Life, an unapologetically Black story. So, great. Well, I'll be getting some more insider, look at what happened there. But Tupac was, iconic, doesn't even do it justice. All right, where are we at? 47 minutes. I lied. I thought it would be a short video, guys. Anyway, I've got a couple of historical fiction books that maybe I'll save this one for later because it's not coming out until May. So I'm not going to be getting to that anytime soon, but I'll show it to you. But this book is coming out February 17th. And this is a literary biography. This is from Catalyst Press. And this is Born at the End of the World by Danica Merhajian. From Catalyst Press. I think this is the finished copy. In 1970s Ethiopia, 13-year-old Ellen, determined to escape her arranged marriage, secretly abandons her tiny village, hoping to find her aunt living in Asmara, the capital of Eritrea. Meanwhile, Gurmai escapes his abusive stepmother after the death of his beloved father, only to end up homeless and starving on the streets of the city. Overcoming the odds, Ellen and Gurmai both grow up to be successful business owners, each with their own lives and families. When the Derg regime overthrows the government, they turn Asmara into a nightmare of roaming bands of soldiers who torture and kill civilians with impunity. Refusing to accept the injustice and mass killings of the Red Terror campaign, Ellen and Gurmai joined the Eritrean People's Liberation Front's underground network to fight for freedom. And the acronym of that organization is EPLF. The stakes rise as the horror of Derg-sanctioned torture leaks out of dissident detention centers. Ellen and Grimai struggle to maintain their precarious fight for justice and a growing passion for each other. As they fall in love, they are faced with impossible choices, tragedy, and heroism, and a struggle and a cause much bigger than their own lives. Based on a true story, because at first I was like, it says on the sheet adult literary biography, but it sounds like fiction, but it says here, based on a true story. Born at the End of the World is a powerful narrative of patriotism, love, camaraderie, and heroism, no less uplifting or appalling than Schindler's List. Oh, let me read to you a little bit about this author, Danica Merhajian. She was born in the midst of Ethiopia's Red Terror, which I didn't know a lot about. So this is going to be fascinating. And of course, it's very appropriate. We've got a just bright red background here, black on red here. I'm going to have to, this might lead me down another rabbit hole. I might have to get a book on Ethiopia's Red Terror. I didn't know about that. So she was born in the midst of Ethiopia's Red Terror, and she channels her family's experiences into, and this is her debut novel. Well, good for you, Danica. A former journalist and educator with degrees in journalism and education, she calls Eritrea, Zambia, and the United States home. Passionate about storytelling, she inspires her students to love learning and embrace their potential while finding time to write in her favorite quiet spots. Well, that is great. Debut novel, but based on her family's own experiences. So that's pretty powerful stuff. Yeah. Another book I need to read, probably right after maybe I'll read this before I dig into the Cameroon trilogy. So many books, so little time, guys. All right. So that is some of the books that I have, and I can recommend some of them I've already read to you. I think some of the others just sound fantastic, and I hope you found them engaging as well. I seem permanently incapable of filming a video underneath 50 minutes, so thank you for sticking with me. I hope everyone's doing all right today on this Friday the 13th, and just have a good one out there. I need to make another video. Well, I've got so many videos I need to make still, but I hope you'll let me know in the comments below which books really appealed to you in this stack. If you learned something new, if you heard about something, a topic or a person or a group, that you just haven't even heard of before from the stack, let me know. I like knowing that I'm kind of bringing you guys a nice variety of titles. And also, if you like to drink non-alcoholic drinks from a wine tumbler, because as you can see, there's not wine in there. It looks like it might be wine with ice, but no, it's mixed berry. So chilled, so delicious. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me today here on the History Shelf. I'll be back soon with another chatty video. I just feel chatty today. Thanks for indulging me. But until next time, guys, stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon back here at the History Shelf. See ya.